Good morning. How everybody's doing out there? This is the Tuesday edition here of the Payoff Pitch. I'm Jason, and we're live with you every single day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And we're powered by BetUS, a fantastic sportsbook. Down in this video description, you can go ahead and get the information to jump on over to their website and find out just how awesome they are for yourself. I'm riding solo today. We've got no squirrel today. Your guess on where he is just as good as anything that I could come up with. So, riding solo today. Let's do things a little bit different today. Love hearing from you guys. You know, you guys always hit me up. Seems like after the show, bunches of people love, when we do rapid fire. There's a bunch of people that kind of like when there's a small slate, and instead of doing the normal menu, maybe because there's only 7 games, we kind of talk about all 7 games. I don't have a big baseball slate in terms of card, or a big card today, I should say. So let's just kind of talk about these games, and of course we'll work our way through the menu, and I'll work our way through some actual bets and leans that I do have for you guys. But with that being said, if there's any particular game that maybe you guys are interested in, and maybe you want to hear my thoughts or some stats behind that matchup, just drop that in the comment section. We'll go ahead and open up the comment section so you guys can put in some of your bets and some of your leans. So with that being said, though, let's go ahead and kick off the show. We go ahead and move it to the second inning. We call it around the bases. We'll take a couple of games and we'll break them down. But again, we'll do things a little bit different. How about just kind of kicking off around the bases with kind of talking about yesterday and the unders? 8-1 yesterday were those unders. The only over that hit was in the White Sox Royals. That was one of the overs I liked, but everything else, certainly went under. Weird scores. You had 1-0 there, Cardinals, Cubs, 2-1 between your Pirates and your Braves, 4-1 Phillies, Reds, just tons of low scoring. Boy, if you were on the unders yesterday, congratulations. And you're seeing a lot of low batting averages. I know I sit here, day in, day out, and I'll say, this team is, in the top 5 in hitting, top 10 in hitting. Just because you're in the top 5 in hitting, top 10 in hitting, doesn't ultimately mean anything. I obviously want to know what that value is. And I look for around 265, 270 and above in terms of a batting average or in terms of hitting. What are you doing in slugging? Are you around, at least maybe like 485 and above? Boy, if we take a look at some of the stats, and at least from right-handed pitching, you only got one team hitting 300 or greater, and that's your St. Louis Cardinals. They're hitting 317. We've been tailing them recently. Obviously, they had a bad day yesterday in terms of production, but still sitting pretty at 317. And actually, was it yesterday they went up against? They went up against the left-hander there and Drew Smiley. So we're talking about right-handed batting average, them hitting 280. But then after that, you get the Dodgers at 280, the White Sox at 275, and the Astros at 275. Only 4 teams right now are hitting greater than 270 or 275. That's pretty bad. Lots of poor batting averages. Several teams below the Mendoza line. Again, that's versus right-handed pitching. If you flip it over to left-handed pitching, you have some nice batting averages. You have several teams up over 300. It looks like you've got about 5 to 6 of them. But the sample size is awfully small, so that's kind of hard to take a gauge off. So, and then of course, versus left-handed pitching, once again, you got several teams hitting below the Mendoza line. You got about 5 teams. Milwaukee's hitting 161. Boy, Milwaukee can't hit, only hitting 168 right now versus right-handers as well. So, yeah, a lot of low-scoring games. Low batting averages. The unders hit 8-1. So, be a little cautious. We saw these games yesterday, and it just wasn't obviously quite coming through. So, I'd like to see what could maybe shake out today. I'm curious, right? Getting towards the end of the season, getting teams that have kind of bagged it in and already looking forward, to the offseason. They're not making the playoffs. And this is, one of the lowest we've seen the batting averages all season long from collective standpoint. So, again, the unders went 8-1 yesterday with the only over hitting in that White Sox and in the Royals game. All right, let me show it here. Let's talk about another game. I want to keep away from ones that I have in the 4th inning. I've got a couple long shots that I like. Obviously, I have a money line parlay for you guys in double play there in the 8th inning, so I don't want to talk about that. Let's see if... There you go. We got Jimmy coming in. He wants to talk about the Mets game. Right there. So what is it? Tyon Walker versus Frankie Montas. So you would think an under. You would certainly think an under. Let's go ahead and pull up those right-handed stats there for you there, Jimmy, and talk about what these two teams are doing. You got the Yankees hitting 179 versus right-handed pitching recently. You got the Mets hitting 261. So certainly a big discrepancy. You would think that the Mets are going to have the advantage. Bullpen-wise, the Mets still have the bullpen advantage. Yankees are still a top unit, sitting top 10. Really good, fantastic whip. Really good opponent's batting average at 180. So two really good bullpens. Starters, I think between Tyon Walker and Frankie Montas, it could be a wash. Both of those guys with very much capable stuff, and either one could have a good day. But obviously the big discrepancy in that matchup, Jimmy, and everybody else, is the right-handed hitting. But are you going to go up against the Yankees right now? They've been scuffling, but maybe they've turned a corner, right? They get a win there on Sunday, not a series win, sorry, a win on Sunday against the Blue Jays. Then they come back against Max Scherzer, ruined everybody's NRFI yesterday. Boy, if you're going to get to Max Scherzer, you can certainly look at his first inning numbers. Those are the ones where you're going to get to him. But overall, though, they did what they needed to do and got a nice 4-2 win in beating the Mets and knocking off Max Scherzer and the Mets. So I guess that's my thoughts there on Jimmy. Is you certainly have the advantages with the Mets from a hitting. I would certainly lean the Mets. What's that price on the money line? Let's see. Let's just get a quick check here and see what they're charging. They're charging plus 110. You're getting the team with the better hitting stats. Bullpens, generally a wash. I would say starters between Walker and Montas is generally a wash. All right, go ahead and give me the team that's significantly hitting better, but perhaps you're getting the Yankees up on the uptrend. That would be the only concern, even though their batting average is still absolutely struggling. Perhaps this is a good time to maybe take the Mets, or maybe just kind of lay off. I say I wouldn't back the Yankees, but again, maybe you're catching them on the upswing, so maybe not a bad play looking at the Yankees right there. We've got the Blue Jays coming in here with YouTube. He's saying take those Blue Jays. You got Ross Stripling taking on Winkowski there of the Red Sox. Let's take a look at those stats. You got two right-handers on the mound there, and Winkowski versus Ross Stripling. You've got, let's see, Boston, top 5, they're hitting 267. So again, I kind of look for teams 265, 270 or above. The Red Sox are right there at 267. Toronto comes in. Where is Toronto? Boy, I'm either just missing them or there you go. So hitting 233. Their slugging's only 381, so they're not bringing a lot of power to the plate. Neither are the Red Sox at 375. And again, in terms of slugging, we look for that 480, 500 in terms of slugging. Neither one of those two teams are doing absolutely anything near that. So, you think maybe low scoring in that affair too. From a bullpen perspective, Toronto's bullpen remains, really scuffling. Red Sox bullpen scuffling, a 6.75 ERA, a 265 opponent's batting average, and a 375 BABIP. So, yeah, not good stuff right there. Not good stuff right there. David say the squirrel's out chasing a nut. I don't know, man. Your guess is just as good as mine. So, and hammering the Jays today. David says the Twins are big dogs today. Boy, they took a lot of money yesterday. Obviously, the squirrel was on them at minus 200. I think a lot of people had the Twins as a parlay piece. A lot of people took the Twins on the run line. I think both of those plays were good plays. Again, you just saw low scoring and a little bit of unpredictability yesterday in those box scores, in those final results. But yeah, the Twins, take it on Verlander and the Astros with Aaron Sanchez. I mean, I hear you when people say a lot of value. What are you getting it at? Like plus 200, David? Let's get a look there and see what that is. It's got to be 200. Yeah, it's plus 250. I don't know, man. Verlander's in the Cy Young conversation. I'm going to talk about that game a little bit later on, so I'll certainly give you my thoughts. I've got a bet on that game, so we'll talk about that game. Let's go ahead and now move to the third inning. We call it shut up and pitch. I'll try and give you guys some pitching stats, but here's another one where I thought the sportsbooks were really unkind to us. And let's just talk about, for an example, Let's talk about an example of the Marlins game. The Marlins right now are striking out for his left-handed pitching, third most in the major league, and they're 101 attempts for his left-handed pitching at 30.7. When I look at the strikeout percentage, when we either take a guy to go over, we look at around 28% or greater is what I look for in the strikeout percentage. If we take an under, we look for some number in the teens, like 16% and unders. Two numbers jumped off the page. Miami's at 30.7 versus left-handers. You got Zach Logue on the mound, but they set his number at a really tough one at, 4.5, I believe it was? Let me get the exact number there from the books. Yeah, 4.5. It's at plus money, not a number that Logue has hit a ton. So that makes me a touch nervous. Are you going to go off the numbers of the Marlins? Or are you going to go off what maybe Zach Logue's back of the baseball card is? And then the other one I really liked, was Mike Clevenger there of the Padres, but his number is at 3.5. I like the under. We know what the Guardians have been all season long. They've just been absolutely fantastic at not striking out, and they're still not striking out. The third best strikeout percentage at 17.3% versus right-handers. They saw Clevenger earlier this season. In fact, it was his first start where he got 4 Ks, but they got this number at 3.5. It would have cashed his last 3 starts where he's gotten 1, 3, 3 Ks. But damn, 3 Ks. I mean, that's some sweaty stuff if you bet under 3.5 Ks. We've done it this season. We've gotten burned. Maybe we've gotten a cash or two, but that one's just really low. So I'm going to go ahead right now and just kind of give you guys the teams that are striking out. Again, what I look for, about 28% or more. Versus right-handed pitching, you've only got one team. It's the New York Yankees at 29.5%. Walker's got some good stuff. What actually was Walker's number? Walker's number was 3.5 at minus 115. Whoa, minus 115. Maybe I overlooked that one. Let's see. Let's get a live look right there. Maybe we go ahead and bet that one. Ty and Walker. Yankees, again, striking out versus right-handed pitchers. They're at my sweet spot in that number at 29.5%. To go along with that, I love teams that strike out high. Then obviously to go with that, have a piss-poor batting average. Well, the Yankees are swinging at a 179 clip. So let's just see if Walker, how often he goes over 3.5. Cool. 0 last game. 5 against the Reds, another game of 0, a 4, 3, 5, 7, 9, 3 against the Yankees, so he's already gone up against the Yankees, and 3, 5, 9, 10, 4. That one may be one to go ahead and look at. Go ahead and look at over 3.5 Ks for Walker at minus 115. I'm going to go ahead and get another look to see what another book. Another book's got it at minus 110. Okay. All right. So whereas right-handers, though, that's really all I like is the Yankees are striking out high, and I love the Guardians' low strikeout rate. Let's look at that from a left-handed perspective. You got several teams striking out over 30%, which is what we like. We got the Milwaukee Brewers, but they're not going up against a left-hander. You got the Cincinnati Reds, great, but they're going up against Ranger Suarez, who they just faced. Was it 5 days ago? Remember, we just saw this Phillies-Red series being played out, but that didn't go our way yesterday in terms of hitting an over. We liked the over. That didn't go our way. And then the Marlins are sitting at 30.7%. We mentioned them. We like them. And then some other teams have high K percentage, but they're not facing left-handed pitching, so it's obviously super irrelevant. So I thought overall another tough day for trying to get in some pitching props. I'm certainly not being scared. If I like things, I would bet it. There's no being scared. There's no hesitancy on my mind. I would bet into the numbers, bet into the spots if I thought they were good. Nick Lodolo's numbers is over 6.5. I know he shredded the Phillies last time out. Hell, we got a cash. Remember, we did over 4.5 hits. He went 7 strong, 5 hits, 8 Ks. Tough one. Absolutely tough one right there. So don't have any official strikeout pitching props to go ahead and get you guys. So let's just keep it moving now. Let's go to a 4th inning. We call it long shots. Let me tell you guys what dogs I think can go ahead and get a bark today. Well, I mentioned them yesterday. Absolutely mentioned this team yesterday as a team that I thought could go ahead and get a win. And obviously the fact that the score finished 2-1 lets you know that I wasn't right because the team lost, but if you're in a 2-1 game in terms of a final score, and if you would have bet the Pirates yesterday and was holding on to a plus 175 ticket, that's some great value. Nice low-scoring game. You're right there in it until the end. Hold 175. Well, you get the advantages again today. Look, versus right-handed pitching, the Atlanta Braves are hitting 253. You obviously got a right-hander on the mound in Brubaker. Versus left-handers with Max Fried on the mound, the Pirates are better at 263. The Pirates are better hitting left-handers than the Braves are versus right-handers. And then bullpen-wise, once again, the reason why we liked the Pirates yesterday is because we thought those stats were pretty even. Obviously, after a 2-1 game, those numbers have stayed relatively the same. So I think that's a great dog today. You get Brubaker on the mound. He is the ace of that staff. He can show up and have nice performances. He's a bit unlucky if you look at his baseball card. Really runs into some poor defense there by the Pittsburgh Pirates. But then you're going to go against Max Fried. From a hitting standpoint, you've got the advantages. Pirates are doing it better. So I'd like the Pirates today at plus 225. Again, mentioned them yesterday. I think they're at a better price today, obviously at plus 225. I think they're worth a look. And then the other dog I like today is the Cleveland Guardians. Absolutely love the Cleveland Guardians today. You got 2 right-handers on the mound. Look, the Cleveland Guardians, they're hitting 247 versus right-handed pitching. The Padres are below the Mendoza line at 196. Neither team is striking out a ton. Padres at 19%. We already know what the Guardians are. We just mentioned them. They were, 17.3%? I believe it was I mentioned. From a bullpen perspective, whoa, big advantage there in that Guardians bullpen. There's the top 5 bullpen. Absolutely a top 5 bullpen. Not that the Padres are bad, but they're about middle of the pack. Most of their stats fall between 12th and 16th place. Guardians, though, top 3, top 5 bullpen. They've been generally outstanding, through most of the season. So I think those are your 2 best dogs today. The Pirates at plus 225. I think the Guardians at plus 125. Of course, it's Savali versus Clevenger, so that's going to make you a touch nervous, right? A touch nervous. Savali, Not the greatest, but Clevenger in his own right. He's obviously not the greatest, right? He's got some terrible control. He can get some free passes. So, but go ahead and sign me up for the Pirates and the Guardians today as your two best dogs to date. All right, let's go ahead now, move it along. Let's go ahead and keep swinging, try and give you guys some hitting props. When I looked at hitting props, what jumped off was the same thing I gave out a couple months ago, and I recalled doing so. Remember when last time the Tigers faced the San Francisco Giants? And I told you guys about Miguel Cabrera. He's obviously still got fantastic numbers against Carlos Rodon. He's 9 for 22, hitting a 4.09. But the thing that's a bit concerning is 9 Ks. 9 Ks. Like, whoa. I like to find guys that have 22 at-bats against a pitcher. I like to find a guy that's hitting 4.09 against that pitcher. But to have 9 strikeouts come along with that, man, I like to see a little more contact on the ball. But Miguel Cabrera is by far and away, I think, the best guy. And then the other guy today that I liked was Ian Happ. But I remember sitting in this chair some time ago when they went against Adam Wainwright, and I remember saying Ian Happ was a good guy, and he went 0 for 4 that night. Doesn't mean he's going to go 0 for 4 tonight. He's still got great numbers off Adam Wainwright, switch hitter, so he's going to be on the other side of the plate than what Wainwright's going to throw on. But I think those are your two best guys. It's Cabrera. If I'm going to do Cabrera, though, I'm doing his over 1.5 total bases, or maybe even taking him to get a home run. He's got 4 home runs in those 9 hits against Carlos Rodon. You're getting a good lefty on righty matchup. If I'm doing Cabrera, I'm going to do over 1.5 total bases. And then Ian Happ, I think he's just a good old fantastic parlay piece. All right, let's go ahead and keep it moving now. Because 6th inning, we call it It's a Steal. Boy, we got some steals today. I've got 3 Nerfies to go ahead and talk about today. Boy, this is like maybe the best thing today. The best thing today could be Nerfies. One of them you already know about. It's a 2-unit play for me. It's in that White Sox-Orioles game. Again, it's the Nerfie. It's a 2-unit play for me. Teams are ranked 26th and 28th in runs scored in the first inning. You got Voth on the mound there for the Orioles. It's been perfect. Absolutely perfect in his 10 starts. Hasn't given up a run yet. In those 10 starts, he only has allowed 4 hits. Only bringing 2 Ks, but you obviously love the whip, right? Only 4 hits in 10 starts. Again, no runs. Dylan Cease is on the mound, 8 runs in 24 starts, 32 Ks. 32 Ks. The thing you got to worry about with Cease is 4 home runs. Those 8 runs have come majority on those 4 home runs. But he's also bringing 32 Ks to the plate, too. So the guy's obviously got electric stuff. He can strike out a ton of people. I like that. You know what's the biggest threat to this Nerfie and White Sox Orioles? And I put 2 Nerfies on it. You know what has me the most nervous on, hitting this Nerfie? Is Tony La Russa. You see that shit he pulled yesterday with Michael Kopech? Michael Kopech tweaks his knee in warm-ups, and yet they still send him out there, and he gives him a 4 spot in the first inning. That's our biggest threat. Tony La Russa, just be cool. Like, if the pitcher says he hurt his knee in warm-ups and he's not feeling all that good, let's not send Dylan Cease out there to get rocked like Michael Kopech did in the first inning. That's our biggest threat, is Tony La Russa. He's had some boneheaded decisions. What was the other night? For the 2nd or 3rd time this season, with the count being 1-2, then he intentionally walks the batter. What are you doing, Tony La Russa? You can't make that decision up before the batter, and then you're going to wait till the count is 1-2, so clearly in your favor at a 1-2 count, then you want to intentionally walk the batter. Tony La Russa does a lot of boneheaded, crazy shit that nobody can understand. I think that's our biggest threat to this Nerfie, because love the pitching stats, love the hitting stats, but they're ranked 26th and 28th in the major leagues and runs scored in the first inning. Love this Nerfie. Obviously, I love it a ton because I put 2 units on it, and that's a reflection of pitching and hitting lining up, right? Sometimes you're going to make a bet. You've got 10 criterias. Not all 10 out of 10 is going to line up. This one, though, in a Nerfie, you really only look at 2 things, pitching and hitting. Both of these line up. I mean, both of them line up. 2 good pitchers on the mound in the first inning. Teams that struggle in the first inning. All right, it's a 2-unit play for me. That's a Nerfie in that White Sox-Orioles game. The other one I've got for you guys, and I hadn't given out yet on any platform, is I also like the Nerfie and the Marlins Athletics. Boy, guys, I couldn't hit a bet yesterday to save my ass. All my bets lost. All my leans lost except for 1 lean. The only lean I got to hit yesterday was the Nerfie in this Marlins versus Athletics game. It was the only bet per se that hit yesterday. It was a brutal day yesterday. I hate to see it. It was absolutely brutal if we look to bounce back today. But I like the Nerfie again in Marlins Athletics, and today I'm going to go ahead and bet it at minus 132. Teams ranked poorly in the first inning. That 24th and 30th is what they're ranked in the first inning. You got Logue on the mound there for the Oakland Athletics. He's got 2 runs in his 9 starts. He's got 7 Ks. Lopez obviously burned us in his last outing against the Padres. We hung out on YouTube Live, and we saw him give up a grand slam. Guy's had 17 runs in 24 starts, 7 home runs. When he gives them up, though, he gives them up. Like I said, of those 17 runs, hell, we saw 5 of them in his last starts. And that's what you see Pablo Lopez. He doesn't have, of his 24 starts, a lot of bad ones. He throws up a clunker. He throws absolutely up a clunker. Again, 7 home runs, 9 Ks. Just needs to not get crushed. And what we do like about that is, again, the Marlins, what are they hitting right now versus left-handed pitching? Well, I mentioned it. They're 28th in the league. They're hitting 174. So we like that Zach Lowe can go ahead and attack that. And then for the other team, the Athletics, they're hitting 201 versus right-handers. Okay, well, we got burned by the Padres. Padres have a lineup that'll scare the shit out of you. Athletics don't have a lineup that'll scare me, and they're also only hitting 201 right now versus right-handed pitching. So, all right, I'll go ahead and take my chance in Marlins Athletics. That's another NRFI that I like at minus 132. Let's talk about another NRFI, though, that I did not bet, but let's go ahead and talk about it. It's the one that probably everybody's already bet, or at least everybody's asking about it. And, of course, that is in your Brewers versus Dodgers game. This one's a funny one, the way that the lines kind of reacted here to this one. I don't know what the line opened up. I saw it initially for the first time today at minus 125. It's now at minus 122. I've been watching this all day. It's been going from about minus 120 to minus 124 and just fluctuating. Again, it's at minus 122. Squirrel always brings to this broadcast, one of the great things he brings is always money distribution. Well, you don't get money distribution on props. You just get it on overs, unders, and money lines. I'd love to know what's happening with the money on this one because the fluctuation in this price is just absolutely wild. Look, the reason people are going to love this NRFI is because Gonsolin in 22 starts has only given up 2 runs, and Corbin Burns in 24 starts has only given up 2 runs. Love it. Love it from a pitching standpoint, but from a hitting standpoint, both of these teams rank in the top 10 in runs scored in the first inning. One team in the Dodgers is first, and the other team in the Brewers is 10th right now. Obviously mentioned how the Brewers aren't hitting really anything versus right-handed pitching. Again, they're dead last in the majors. They're only hitting 168. The Dodgers are hitting 280. So on the flip side of that. So if you want to look at this game and say who can win the game, I think you certainly take the Dodgers to win the game. But from a NRFI, I don't know. I'm just going to hold out and see what happens. I've got 9 EFL Cup bets that I put in early this morning. This price, I'm looking at it right now. It's at minus 122, so there's no big rush to go ahead and get this bet in. With the way this line is moving or hasn't really dramatically moved, I'll go ahead and hang tight and kind of see what happens to my soccer bets. I can kind of see what happens with this 2-unit play with the White Sox and Orioles because this game is obviously being played in LA, so we got plenty of time before first pitch. So I just wanted to go ahead and put that one on your radar. It's a popular one. From a pitching standpoint, boy, you would throw all your cash at it. But then you start looking at the offensive production in the first inning with the teams ranked first and 10th, and it gives you just enough pause. Dodgers are obviously crushing right-handed pitching right now. Again, they're sitting second at 280. There's obviously familiarity. These teams just faced off in Milwaukee, but hell, that didn't mean anything yesterday, right? I got burned on that in a couple bets yesterday. Teams are scuffling. So, all right, those are the 3 NRFIs, though. I do like White Sox Orioles. That's a 2-unit play. I like the Marlins Athletics. I went ahead and bet that one. And then Brewers Dodgers. Let's just kind of wait and see what happens. You guys see my Twitter information. It's been rolling across there on the bottom. Let's see what happens if we can pull the trigger there on Twitter a little bit later on. All right, 7th inning now. We call it coming to a stretch. I got to go ahead and give you guys my best bet of the day. David here in the chat, and of course I see all the comments rolling in, guys. I obviously appreciate them, and we'll circle back here and catch all those comments here in a second. David says the Twins are big dogs today and there's a lot of value, and he's on it. I don't know, David. I like that Astros F5 team total. And that's an official bet for me. Astros F5 team total over 2.5 runs at minus 125. The Astros come in right now, the 4th best bidding team versus right-handers. But again, just because you're ranked 4th, I want to know what the number is. Well, they're hitting 275. They're also bringing power. They've got the 6th best slugging percentage right now in Major League Baseball versus right-handed pitching. So love that. Astros remain a good strikeout team. Generally all season long, they've been middle of the pack or, bottom half. They're right now. They're at 15th right now in strikeouts at only 23%, so we love that. They're putting the bat on the ball. And then we look at who the Twins are putting out there. They're putting out Aaron Sanchez, a 7.68 ERA, a 1.68 whip. He's allowed in all of his starts 2 or more runs to be scored. And in fact, this bet I just gave out for the Astros has cashed in 6 of his 8 starts. His only 2 misses were against the Tigers. They have not been able to hit right-handed pitching all season long, so no big surprise that he had a decent outing against the I mean, he still went 5 and gave up 2 runs. Like I said, everybody has scored 2 runs. But just in terms of teams unable to get 3 to cash this bet, it's been the Tigers. Okay, they don't hit right-handed pitching. And then the Milwaukee Brewers. I mentioned the Milwaukee Brewers. Again, they're ranked, 168 right now versus right-handed pitching. If you look at what they're doing on the season, they're hitting 234, and that's ranks 23rd in Major League Baseball. So the Brewers have just been wildly inconsistent. So I can understand how he had a good outing against the Brewers, a good outing against the Tigers, but everybody else just crushes him. His opponent's batting average is .343 this season. Everybody's been hitting hard this guy. We love the Astros. We love their offensive production. So I'm going to roll with that. That is the best bet today. It's Astros F5 team total over 2.5 runs at -125. Obviously with Verlander on the mound, Cy Young candidate. I like the Astros to win the game. Astros F5. I'm a team totals kind of player. I think this can obviously cash regardless. How do you not like fading Sanchez based on his numbers and based on how well the Astros are hitting the ball, and particularly hitting the ball right now versus right-handed pitching? Dream matchup. Love it. So no-brainer bet right there, taking that Astros F5 team total. All right, 8th inning time now, called a double play. We've got to give you guys a parlay today. Let's go ahead and do exactly that. Well, let's go ahead and throw those Astros in a parlay. Again, Cy Young candidate. You got Justin Verlander on the mound. You get the bullpen advantages. You get the hitting advantages. You get the pitching advantage. So it's check, check, check. It's an absolute no-brainer. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and take the Astros. And then I will go ahead and put in the Phillies. We're getting a rematch of Suarez versus Lodolo. And just like we liked it last week when we took Lodolo over 4.5 hits allowed, you could have also taken an F5. I think that was the day we did the F5 moneyline parlay of Twins Phillies, and we got it cash, if I recall correctly. It was a push in that Phillies Reds because it finished 0-0, but the Twins went ahead and handled business up against Daniel Lynch. Well, anyways, Phillies are still crushing left-handed pitching. They're hitting .311 right now versus left-handed pitching, and that's for a 134 batting sample size. So really good, decent sample size when you're talking left-handed pitching. Again, they're hitting .311. The Reds are obviously also seeing a left-hander versus Ranger Suarez. They're hitting .241. So huge difference. You're going to have the same hitter familiarity. Suarez and Lodolo, this is the exact same matchup 5 days ago. I caught a fair amount of this hanging out on TikTok Live. It was strikeout, strikeout, strikeout. Both of these pitchers were absolutely dealing in that 1-0 game. Who knows? If you get hitter familiarity, it ends up being a thing today. Well, it should favor the Phillies. They're hitting .311 versus left-handed pitching. Always comes down to that Phillies bullpen. But you get the Reds bullpen is what you're opposed at, and that's a worse bullpen. So I think that's your best parlay today. I think it's Phillies, Astros, and it's -102. -102 is your best parlay of the day. All right, let me go ahead and close this show you guys all my bets, and then let's talk about all these games from an over-under perspective or a run line, money line, and then I'll circle back here and catch all your questions. All right, that's what I'm rolling with today, guys. 3 NRFIs, so to speak, because one of them's a 2-unit play. Purchased them at 2 different times, so that's why we've got 2 different prices. One's at -102, one's at -120, and then the Marlins Athletics is -132. And again, my best bet of the day, just a dream matchup between pitcher numbers and hitting. Set Astros F5 team total over 2.5. If you're going to tail at least one of those bets, hit that like button and let me know. Let's go ahead and catch these questions, and then let's do rapid fire. Professor asked if I've got any Champions League bets. Probably just going to lay off of it, man. You saw, got 9 bets in the EFL Cup. I like leg 1s more than leg 2. Leg 2 starts to be a little bit different, right? Because now you know the first result. You know what you need to progress to the next round. The next round here is the group stage. Lots of money is on the table. Lots of money is on the table for these guys to be in the group stage. So I don't really like leg 2 as much as leg 1. So probably lay off the Champions League bets. Yeah, everybody got burned by that Twins, it seemed like yesterday. You got YouTube saying Yankee is going to take Walker out of the game by the 3rd inning. I hear you. Yeah. For they're not hitting the ball well, but again, maybe you're taking the Yankees on an upswing. 2 wins in a row. They've got their first winning streak since the All-Star break. How wild is that, right? First team in Major League Baseball to win 60 games. They're the first team, I saw the stat, they're the first team to win 60 games, and then their next 60 play under 500, because I think it was 29-31 if I recall correctly. So the first team, a very long time, decades, can't remember the exact year, but it's just wild the swing that the Yankees are on. But again, yeah, maybe you're catching them. They saw Taijuan Walker a few weeks ago at Yankee Stadium, or at the City Field. They play City Field. I think that's what it is. So, Brian says, do you have any suggestions on a hit parlay? Ian Happ and Miguel Cabrera are the two best guys in terms of numbers. I literally got a pretty good memory, even though we do this show every day and we look at numbers every day. I literally remember giving out Cabrera last time against Rodon, and I remember giving out Ian Happ against Adam Wainwright, and I remember losing. So, going to go ahead and lay off it today. But from a numbers standpoint, in terms of volume, production, Cabrera, the Tigers, and Ian Happ of the Cubs are probably your two best guys. Brian? And then YouTube likes the NRFI in this Pirates game. Yeah, I hear you. So, all right, let's go ahead now and talk about all these games from money line, run line, and over-under perspective. Great comments. Great comments right there. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's get on into BetUS. Let me pull this up. All right, let's go ahead and pull this up. All right, guys. How did you guys do on your bets yesterday? Let's have us a better day. Man, yesterday was brutal. But it happens. All right, let's get into this, guys. All right, here we go. Let's talk about this. There's only one day game today. It's right here outside my window in Wrigley Field. You've got the Cardinals taking on the Cubs. This was a matchup I actually wanted to talk about because the Cardinals are crushing right-handed pitching. And again, they're the only team hitting over 300. They're hitting 317, just destroying the ball. Didn't come through for us yesterday. They were facing a left-handed pitcher in Smiley. They're not doing as good versus left-handers versus right-handers. Still good enough to go ahead and put the bet in. They're still crushing left-handed pitchers, but destroying right-handed pitchers. Here's the deal with this guy, though, for the Cubs. Making his debut. Got some decent AAA stats. I believe his ERA was 2.89. His whip was 1.26, and he had 111 strikeouts in 108 innings. But the Cardinals crush right-handers, so if you wanted to take them, Adam Wainwright on the mound, just steady Eddie, gets it done, knows how to pitch, knows how to paint the corners. I don't know. I wish this guy wasn't making his debut. We could at least see him one time in the major leagues, but because of his AAA numbers weren't all that bad, I'm going to lay off. But yeah, from a rapid fire perspective, go ahead and take the Cardinals run line, minus 125. They're just crushing right-handed pitching, and I'll trust steady Eddie there and Adam Wainwright. So give me that Cardinals run line. Over on BetUS, I'm seeing Braves Pirates with an over-under of 8. Braves at minus 265. Pirates at plus 225. I mean, the way the series was played yesterday, it was low scoring. Love the bullpens here for both of these two teams. I'll take the under, but I do like the Pirates at plus 225. Hitting left-handers better than the Braves are hitting right-handers, even though Braves are throwing Fried, and that's got the name recognition. Brubaker is better than the back of his baseball card. I've watched several of his games. It's better than the back of his baseball card. So I'll take the Pirates and the under at plus 225 and under 8. White Sox and Orioles, over-under of 7.5. White Sox at minus 135. Orioles at plus 115. Orioles have really cooled off for his right-handed pitching. Obviously, they've got a tough one on the mound there and Dylan Cease to go up against. But they've now fallen back to middle of the pack. Their right-handed pitching numbers was, 232. I mean, there was a time a couple weeks ago, remember that Blue Jays series when we got the cashes on that over? They were a top 10. They were hitting like 270. Man, they've cooled off. They're only hitting 232. White Sox are still there, though. They're hitting 275. So, all right, you can go ahead and sign me up for that White Sox run line at plus 125. White Sox run line at plus 125. You got Reds and Phillies, over-under of 8. Reds plus 175. Phillies minus 205. Again, this same game was played out 5 days ago. It was 1-0. Both of these pitchers dueled. Phillies stats say that they could get it done, and they could get it done. So I'll take that Phillies on the run line at even money. Phillies on the run line at even money. Mets and Yankees, over-under of 8.5. Mets plus 110. Yankees minus 130. I'll take the Mets as a dog at plus 110. Give me the Mets as a dog at plus 110. Giants and Tigers, over-under of 7.5. Tigers minus 225. Or Giants minus 225. Tigers plus 190. Looking forward to talking about this one. Obviously, the Tigers with the left-hander on the mound makes you think you like the Tigers. Rodon was dealing against the Tigers a couple months ago, back in the month of May, I believe it was. Maybe June, but I think it was actually May. Let's see. We knew the Tigers hadn't faced a left-hander in about 2 weeks on Friday. Did not cash a bet. We know on Saturday they got another left-hander, and they cashed a bet. So have they now gotten back to their left-handedness after not seeing a left-hander for 2 weeks? Boy, Rodon is awfully tough. Drew Hutchison is terrible. So even though the Giants have struggled much of the season, when they run into a bad pitcher, it seems like they can show up. But overall, they've been a struggling offense. I'll take the Giants. I'll take that Rodon can shove again and have a nice performance. I'll take the Giants on the run line at -125 or the money line as a parlay piece. Let's do Angels and Rays over under of 7. Angels +150. Rays are at -175. Kluber versus Suarez. I guess I'll just take the under and just kind of go with yesterday's theme of the unders hitting 8-1, and generally speaking, all the batting averages are low and suffering right now. So I'll take the under. I think, let's see, I told people I like the Rays yesterday. Did the Rays win? Yeah, the Rays won 2-1. So barely. So, all right, I still like the Rays today, but I will take under 7. Blue Jays and Red Sox up next with an over-under of 9.5 on BetUS. Blue Jays -140, Red Sox +120. I'll take the Red Sox. I'll take the Red Sox at +120. I like Winkowski. Again, they're hitting better right now than the Blue Jays. Bullpen-wise, it's right there. So, all right, I'll take the Red Sox at +120. Second game here this afternoon, or this evening, between the Cardinals and Cubs with an over-under of 9. Cardinals -130, Cubs +110. Doubleheaders are always so weird to bet. Kind of like that theme of like teams don't get swept. Teams really don't get swept in a doubleheader either. So see what happens in game 1. But I like the Cardinals on the money line at -130. That offense, we're just really stinking good. So, all right, Cardinals at -130. Twins and Astros with an over-under of 7.5. Twins are +250. Astros are -300. The Verlander versus Sanchez. I'm taking the Astros. I would just do them as a parlay piece. That run line is -145. So we know the Twins have a really good offense. There's a reason why David thinks that there's a lot of value there. It's because of that offense. It's absolutely because of that offense. But I'll take the Astros as a parlay piece at -300. Diamondbacks Royals over under of 9 on BetUS. Diamondbacks -125. Royals +105. Davies versus Hesley. I mean, wish the Royals hadn't traded all their pieces because I feel like this would be a nice over. But it's at 9. I'll take the under. Give me the under. Rangers and Rockies over under of 10.5. Rangers -105. Rockies -115. Boy, Dane Dunning's just been atrocious. The Rockies, you want to know what they're hitting, folks? And we talk about liking the Rockies offense, and maybe it wakes up going back home to Denver, but they're hitting 189 versus right-handed pitching. Dunning is absolutely terrible. I'm going to look up his card because there was somebody who shared a tweet, a few of his starts again. Maybe this is the game where the Rockies just wake up. But let's see. This guy, he lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 starts in a row. Now his team is on a 4-game win streak in his starts. And in those 4, he picked up 2 wins in those 4. So maybe Dylan Cease has turned the corner. Or not Dylan Cease, sorry, Dane Dunning. Maybe he's turned the corner. In those 3 of those 4 starts, they've been quality starts. The Rockies can't hit right now. Rangers aren't much better. They're only hitting 218. I hate to say an under at Coors Field, but boy, those teams are not hitting. But Dunning, Marquez, we of course faded in his last start. We got an easy cash. That was our first ever 5-unit play. I'm gonna take the Rangers at -105. They've got the better bullpen. Maybe Dunning on a nice 4-game stretch has kind of turned it around. I hate Marquez. They've got the better offense right now versus right-handers. All right, give me Rangers -105, but tough game right there. Guardians and Padres over under of 7.5. Guardians +120. Padres -140. Other than Savali being on the mound, you get all the advantages with the Guardians. You get the bullpen advantage. You get the hitting advantage. Savali is worse than Clevenger. Not a ton worse, but yeah, Savali's not all that great. I'll go Guardians, though. It's what I gave out in the 4th inning. I think it's one of my best long shots today, so I'll stick with the Guardians. I'll probably just take the over 7.5 also, to be honest. I mean, with Savali on the mound, Clevenger, you expect the Guardians to hit Clevenger. You expect the Padres to be able to hit Savali. That could be probably the best over today. It's only at 7.5. So Guardians, Padres over 7.5. Marlins, Athletics over under of 7. Marlins -140. Athletics +120. I like the NRFI. Offense is struggling. Give me the under. Give me the under 7. Brewers, Dodgers over under of 7. Brewers +130. Dodgers -150. Burns versus Gonsolin. Saw hitter familiarity. Didn't show up yesterday. Maybe it doesn't show up again today. Burns and Gonsolin, just 2 guys, just good. Just quite frankly, both of them are really good. So I'll take under 7. I would take the Dodgers, though. Big discrepancy from the hitting standpoint. So I'll take the Dodgers in the under. And then the other one, Nationals versus Mariners, over under 7.5. Nationals plus 225. Mariners minus 265. I'll take the Mariners on the run line. Bullpen-wise, the Mariners don't have the advantage. The Nationals' bullpen has actually been pitching pretty well in the last 10 days. So the Nationals have the bullpen advantage, but you expect Ray to be significantly better than Fedde. The Nationals have cooled off and hitting their left-handed pitching. The Mariners are actually good right now versus right-handed pitching. They're hitting 255. We care about the number. It's not great. It's 255. But comparatively, though, in terms of what the Nationals are doing, it is better. So we'll round that out with the Mariners run line. All right, guys, anybody got any other questions on this great slate? Or I'll hang here for another minute, just see if we got any other questions that'll pour in. Otherwise, hit that like button if you're going to tail me on that NRFI and that Sox versus Orioles game, or if you're going to tail me on that Marlins Athletics, or if you also like that Astros F5 team total, hit that like button and let me know. Otherwise, yeah, any other questions, fellas? We're going to bounce back today. I'm feeling it. I understand I'm showing off a lot of positivity, and that may upset some people coming off a day in which we lost 7 bets and we gave out 7 bets and we got our ass kicked. But it's a new day. It's a new day, fellas. That's absolutely a new day. So ready to get back at it. So all right, guys, don't see any more questions coming in. Let's see where we'll hang out on TikTok Live today. We'll definitely end up doing that. I think William and I are actually going to film the Highline podcast today. I think we're going to team up here in about 20 minutes. So if you're interested in any Daytona 400 talk, check out William and I on the Highline podcast. Otherwise, guys, good luck today on your baseball bets. There are some good betting spots out there. I hope you guys are able to get some cashes, enjoy some afternoon soccer as well, and we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow on the Payoff Pitch. Have a good one, fellas.